Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And in this video, I want to share my personal experience dealing with the Law Society Complaints Department. And if I was to have to summarize this video in 5-10 seconds, it would be that, like most complaint departments, the complaints filed at the Law Society do not work. Mine were handled very suspiciously, biasly. It's pretty evident that some of these complaints, or most of them, are handled by a broken and a corrupted complaint system. You file a complaint against a lawyer. Who handles that complaint? Another lawyer. Who funds the Law Society? Lawyers, right? So for me, filing a complaint with the Law Society, it did not work. So I'm just going to get into my experience. And again, like I say in all my videos, honestly and truthfully, I have nothing to gain to mislead the public. I've got nothing to gain to bash anybody or an organization. I'm just sharing my personal experience and the many and obvious flaws that you have when filing a complaint against someone, and practically their coworker or their brother or their sister handles that complaint, and they all work for a company, or they pay into an organization that protects lawyers. So it doesn't work that way. And for any other complaint system that's designed similar this way, they don't work. So I filed 2 complaints, one against a criminal lawyer, Alice Fava, who at one point took on my criminal case, and she put her name on a legal aid certificate only for a week later to tell me she's not going to work on my case. She needed to put her name on my legal aid certificate to read my disclosure. When a lawyer of 38 years at the time, going on 40, you think they would know that, hey, you give them a bit of information about your case, rather than jumping and saying, oh, let me put my name on your legal aid certificate, which this lawyer you would think would know how difficult it is to change lawyers, especially if she was going to drop me a week later if she didn't like my disclosure. So I'm going to get into a complaint against that lawyer that I had retained at one point, and then I'm going to get into my other complaint. That is, it's 3 years, it's ongoing 3 years, and it's still pending with the Law Society, which is again another suspicious element. John David Ekman Young, when I've been dealing with this lawyer, like opposition, for 3 years, it's clear. My witnesses that have seen this lawyer in action, it's pretty evident this lawyer is unhinged. He's taken on these cases personally. And to be honest, he refuses to show what his client is paid, and if any of these judges or police or someone or the Law Society was to ever make Mr. Ekman Young show what his client actually paid, I think it'd be pretty evident the amount of perjury and fraud. It'd be a major criminal investigation, but no one seems to want to make Mr. Ekman Young show proof of what his client paid. When you ask for $160,000 in court cost, and you admitted on an affidavit that your client only paid $7,000, straight up, that's perjury. That is submitting a fraudulent document, and we could all just really stop playing this guessing game and have Mr. Ekman Young show actually what his client paid, because he's admitted to paying $7,000. So filing complaints with the Law Society, my experience has been horrible. I did not anticipate the handling, what I experienced, what I observed, what I witnessed, and so the Law Society, the Complaints Law Society, can help with ethics, honesty, failing to provide transaction records, unreasonable delays, misleading, harassment, failure to account for funds, and concerns of potential conduct. Well, I can tell you right now, John David Ekman Young, I've given 5 examples of his actions in each one of these things. Um, and then I filed a complaint against John David Ekping with the Law Society in June of 2022. And it's still pending. It's still being investigated, which I think is a bunch of crap. And then there was Alicia Fava. I filed a complaint on March 9th, 2022, and which was mishandled and dismissed by Astrid Mrkich. I just found out actually, so Ari Kashton has been handling this complaint. He's an expert in financial, he's a fraud and financial expert, which you think would be a perfect match for my complaint. But Mr. Kashton refuses to do anything in a timely manner. He ignores me. They're just undermining everything, and they're pretty much protecting a lawyer who honestly should have his license removed or suspended. So Mr. Kashton, he says, well, if you think he's been harassing, you need to file a new complaint. And he said it a few times. And I'm thinking, like, why would I file a new complaint if you're already handling it? So I ended up actually doing that. And before I started this video, I noticed that the Law Society had emerged that complaint with another one. There's no information. There's no message. So that's happening. So the Law Society, it's basically lawyers handling complaints against lawyers, funded by lawyers. For me, it was an absolute waste of time. And I was very shocked with how they handled my complaint, their communications. It's I'm pretty observant on these patterns, and I can see the games they're playing, So John David Ekping, he filed several documents unsigned, uncommissioned. He's committed perjury. He's submitted fraudulent bills of cost. He's harassed me with psychotic emails for 3 years. Evidently, he's taken this case on personally. Law Society and Ari Kashton refused to handle my complaint in any reasonable time. So Ari Kashton, he's a specialist in fraud and financial transactions. He refuses to do anything fair or adequate. John David Ekping's client, they admitted to paying $7,000 for the family court matter. When I lost the 2-day trial, they requested for $160,000. Like, I think this lawyer's been watching too many Johnny Cochran trials, because like $160,000 for a 2-day trial is what he asked for. It's actually absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's even more crazy to have tell me to pay. I got to pay $60,000 when obviously this money was $60,000 wasn't even paid. The Law Society is aiding and abetting John David Ekping with this claim, by allowing him to continue to do these things to me and not step in and do anything in a reasonable time. It's just continuing to allow this lawyer to get away with this crazy conduct, this behavior that most normal lawyers wouldn't do. The things they're doing to self-represent litigants like John David Ekping was doing to me. Alice Fava said she would help me with my criminal case. She put her name on my legal aid certificate. A week later, she refused to work on my case. This lawyer put my case at a major disadvantage. This was such a cowardly act. Why would any sensible lawyer put their name on someone's legal aid certificate and then with the potential of telling them they're not going to work on the case? Like the fact that she did this to me put me at a huge disadvantage. Dealing with the legal aid was just an absolute joke. Trying to get her off of that certificate. and they refused. Legal aid refused to make me change. Legal aid made me stay with a lawyer that refused to. Her name is on my certificate and refused to work on my case. She wouldn't talk to the Crown. She wouldn't do nothing. Yeah, so the Legal Aid Ontario refused to change the lawyer. Alice Fava refused to work on my case, and she quit. And a lawyer can never do that, and the Law Society allowed it. So this person, Astrid Mrkich, dismissed my complaint on, I don't know, it says April 11, 2025, but that's actually today. October 29th, 2024, I was looking at the same letter for some reason, the same date. So this is her response, and her response is extremely contradictory to the rules, the rules of professional conduct. It's common sense. A lawyer cannot quit on a client in the manner that Alice Fava did to me. The Law Society asked me to provide all my communication with legal aid to show that I did it within a timely manner. So I sent them all that, and you think that would be enough to get this person, Astrid Mrkich, to kind of apply some non-biased, dealings with these are the rules. You can't do it, and she just ignored them. And so this person references 3 sections. It's all from 3.7, but it's 3.71, 3.74, 3.76. And I'm going to get into this. So the outcome, I'm just reading her response, which to be honest is straight up crap. When I'm reading this and I look at the submissions and I read the rules, especially the rules of like the rules of professional conduct, and you don't do anything, this is a perfect example of how broken and corrupted these complaints can be handled by people at the Law Society. So this lawyer says the outcome, right? She goes into that first rule, 3.71. A lawyer shall not withdraw from representation of a client except for good cause and on reasonable notice of the client. This person says, although the client has the right to determine the lawyer's-client relationship at will, the lawyer does not enjoy the same freedom of action. Having understanding and representation of the client, the lawyer should complete the task as oblige as possible unless there is justifiable cause for termination of the relationship. Sorry, that was all part of 3.71. This person, her answer is this. Astrid Mrkich says, an essential element of reasonable notice is notification to the client. Unless the client cannot be located after reasonable efforts, no hard and fast rules can be laid down about will continue reasonable notice before withdrawal, and how quickly a lawyer may cease acting. Their notification will depend on the relevant circumstances. Where the matter is covered by the statutory provisions of rules of the court, there will be governed. In other situations, the governing principle is that lawyers should protect the client's interests to the best of the lawyer's ability and should not desert the client at a crucial stage of the matter or time when withdrawal should the client in a position of a disadvantage of peril. So this person's response is telling me that, yeah, you can't drop your client without a good reason, which Alice Fava never did. She ignorantly, she unprofessionally bent the Law Society rules, dropped me, which was bullshit. And not being disciplined is even more bullshit. Rule 3.7-4. A lawyer who has agreed to act in a criminal case may withdraw because the client has not paid the agreed fee or other adequate cause if the interval between a withdrawal and the date set out for the trial of the case is sufficient to enable the client to obtain another licensee to act in case and allow the other licensee adequate time for the preparation and the lawyer. So that's the rule. I guess it's saying A, notifies the client preferably in writing. B, accounts the client for monies received, notifies Crown and counseling. Okay, so this is just the rules, right? That's part of Rule 3.74. You guys can all read this in the rules of the professional conduct, and you can just see for yourselves, the basic rules, the common sense of what a lawyer can do and can't do, and what Alice Fava did, she should have done, and she should have been disciplined, but she never was. So through Rule 3.7, I'm not going to read it, but it's saying this is where this person, Astrid Mrkich, this is where things take a turn. I have explained to Ms. Fava how this situation could be avoided in the future. As the issues have now been addressed, the Law Society will be taking no further action. This is just horseshit, straight up. That's just the truth. Like, this person just contradicted herself. She said that these 3 rules, you cannot bend these rules. Alice Fava, you just bent them, and we're not going to do anything about it. So that was straight up crap. Dealing with Astrid Mrkich, it was extremely contradictive. And I, you know what, I'm not even going to get into the messaging with what's his name there, Kashton. The crap he's been sending me, the excuses for not doing anything in a timely manner. An individual who specializes in fraud in the financial sides at Law Society, and he's not doing anything about it. It's just more crap on top of crap dealing with this Law Society. So you can see the type of handlings, these type of handlings confirm how broken, corrupted, and biased the Law Society Complaints Department is. This is a perfect example why you can't trust the Law Society handling your complaint, and why you shouldn't bother wasting your time filing a complaint with the Law Society, because this is a perfect example of my complaints and how they do nothing about it. They literally say out, they reference the rules that the lawyer is in violation of, has not abided by, and then they ignorantly say something like, Astrid Mrkich here, I've explained to Ms. Fava how this situation could have been avoided in the future. In the future? What about my case? What about my criminal case that she can seriously tampered, made all this unnecessary issues with? So yeah. And like I said before I started this video, Kashton, as helpful as he has been, he hasn't been helpful. He told me about, if I've got new information on John David Ekpyong, file a new complaint. Well, just starting this video, I wanted to double check where that stood. And you know what? It's been emerged. It's been closed. It's been emerged. It doesn't say, there's no information to what they've done with it, right? So, yeah, complaints do not work. Here's another thing. I filed for a request for a review in November of 2024. And you know what? I'm still waiting for a Zoom date, a call. So there seems to be a pattern in my experience when filing complaints. They don't work, and for obvious reasons. For litigation reasons, for insurance reasons, for, it's not, they're not handled fairly. Even some of the other complaints I've filed over the years, and I'll get into those as well. There's an obvious pattern in how broken and corrupted most of these complaint services are. They're biased, so what's the solution to something like this? Is that we start seeing more surveying companies that can get somehow get their foot in the door for getting these complaints information, and seeing really how many complaints are being filed, how many complaints are accepted or dismissed. The individual complaint person, that's dismissing complaints, accepting complaints. Let's look at see who dismisses the most complaints. You know, I bet you the numbers are staggering. So that I just wanted to share that with everyone. You know, it's been, you know, I got dragged through family court. I had no business ever being in it. You know, one judge filled out a form that she shouldn't have. It's the rules state that the parties are supposed to file out this specific form, never did. And then I know that the judge did something that she shouldn't have, to my knowledge. So I ordered transcripts. I tried to get the audio recording of that hearing. She refused them. She blocked it, almost 2 pages of transcripts. That just confirms that she's done something wrong and she's covering it up. And if she hasn't, then let's get the audio recordings and let's get the transcripts uncovered, because I have the right to see what's been covered up. So it's just, I had no business being in the family court. I had no business ever taking this abuse from John David Ekping. And honestly, the courts are continuing to allow him to abuse me. The Law Society not doing anything in a timely manner is very suspicious. The Law Society is allowing Mr. Ekping to continue to abuse and harass me. When in a court I had no business being in, because this lawyer took it on personally. You know, you can't trust Keys Complaint Services. And for anyone out there that's thinking about filing a complaint, I wouldn't waste your time. I really wouldn't. And I know a lot of you out there know that. I was naive going into filing some of these complaints. And now I've experienced firsthand, you know, these patterns. And so the solution to complaints is audit the complaints, get a third party to survey. And because I think they're hiding a lot of things. A lot of these organizations are hiding a lot. And, you know, good people like me, hardworking, blue collar, you know, trying to help my community. We're getting friggin' burned. I got burned from the abuse of a lawyer. And then when the Law Society is supposed to step in and do something, and this is the crap they do. This is why I'm doing this video, to share my honest experience with this. And you guys are going to see in the coming videos of these complaints. There's a pattern. So, yeah, that's my experience with the Law Society. Thank you guys for stopping by the channel. Let's talk about it. And, you know, hopefully this video was helpful to anyone that's considering filing a complaint, or, you know, wants to get an idea of how the complaints are handled with the Law Society. So there you guys go. Thank you for watching.